Namaste all! This is going to be a very different kind of review today because this is, I think, the only month I can make more videos because then I have my class 10. So yeah, this is going to be a very informal review. This is the review of the ink Daytone Mauve. See, I've made notes also. Daytone Mauve, I think that's how you pronounce it, I don't know. Anyways, I use just one pen for this review. It's ASA Noka because I felt, why not? Let's do something different, right? So I've used three papers, of course: Rhodia, JK Cedar, 100 DSM, and then this cheap copier paper. I do have some sheets of Tomio River also, but then I'm not going to include them in this video because at first I thought of including them, but then not everybody has access to Tomio River, and about like at 11 or 12 rupees per sheet, it's better that we don't talk about it. So I'll start off with the cheapest paper which we have. For the first time, it's actual copier paper, not any kind of simulation of it or something. Actually, this thing performed pretty well on this, but I think that's a characteristic of this particular paper, as I find this is pretty ink resistant generally compared to other papers. Of course, there is some bleed through to be had. It's just the nature of this paper. There is some bleed through to be had, but then you also have to keep in mind that this is like really cheap stuff. Okay. Also, one thing which I noticed is that this paper, this ink is a bit on the dry side and it's a bit warmer comparatively speaking. Here is the water test. I mean, nothing interesting with the water test. This ink retains well on the paper, but then it turns into some like methyl violet kind of color after being washed off. I know the focusing is a bit wonky. I don't apologize for it. So this is JK Cedar 100 GSM. I feel that the ink performs a bit cooler on this particular paper than others. It just happens to be so. This is JK Cedar usual performance, no bleed through or anything. Yeah, I mean there is not much to write about this ink or tell about this ink because it's a very boring kind of performance, some people like, and I'm not one of those. Yeah, so you can see, just a minute, I don't know whether you'll be able to see this. I can get like really close. There is this kind of watercolor kind of characteristic to this ink. I don't know why that is, but there is kind of like this watercolor kind of characteristic to it. It feels less of an ink, more like watercolors mixed and then put in a pen. So yeah, that's that. And regarding the water test, again it turns into that methyl violet kind of color. Excuse me. I did this kind of, I just had too much of free time. I have a lot of free time nowadays. So you should expect more videos from me. Yay! Kind of. Then we have Rhodia, and this ink performs pretty different in terms of color on Rhodia than JKC did, or this cheap copier paper, or any paper for that matter. You can see the difference, I think. Believe me guys, it's the same ink, same pen, same everything except different papers, and you can see it is much cooler here with lesser amount of depth compared to Rhodia. With Rhodia it really pops, but not so much as some of the other inks, right? So what about the final scores? Well, here they are. For bleed through, I'll give it 9 out of 10. Does not really bleed exactly. I bleed it out, taking deeper just to throw it away. That kind of thing. Anyways, I got carried away. For feathering, I'll give it 9.5 out of 10 because on papers on which you expect to write with a fountain pen, it performs pretty well. Of course, if you use like really very cheap paper, very thin like tissue paper kind of paper, any ink will feather on it. But comparatively speaking, this performed much better, like compared to something else, like you know perhaps diamond oxblood, I would say. Ease of clean, it is not a very easy ink to clean out of pens because what happens is it kind of like sticks to the feed if it is left for a long time, and the pen does not dry but kind of sticks to the feed, if you know what I mean. For flow, I'd give it 9.5 out of 10. It feels a bit, you know, oily, not exactly oily, but it feels like you're writing with something which is not exactly like an ink, more like I said earlier, it is more like watercolors mixed in water, of course, and put in a pen. It has got that kind of dusty, chalky kind of feel while writing or while seeing also. For crud formation, I did not see any crud formation. That pen has been in for almost like 2 months now, almost. I don't know. So that's all for this ink. It is a very boring ink in my opinion. I don't really like the color. Perhaps you do, or you may like it. Of course, the colors, well, the way I am recording it using custom white balance and etc., the colors which I am producing here are 100% accurate, but what a monitor reproduces, I don't know about that. But you can see the relative difference in the color. The same ink, I'll just put it up here once again. So you can see the difference. It's the same ink, same pen, just different papers. You can see the differences. So that's all I have for this particular video. Next will be Daytone Black, hopefully. Hopefully. I'll see you next time if the world doesn't end. World doesn't end.